Millicent Lillian Entwistle was born in Port Talbot on February 5, 1908, and grew up in Commorrah Road in London's West Kensington area. She suffered more than her share of sadness in her early years. Her parents divorced shortly after her birth, and her father Robert took her to New York in 1913 to live with his new wife Loretta. He did some occasional acting, and she would jump at any chance to watch Broadway shows, even memorizing scripts to put on her own productions at home. At 13, she started going by the name Peg after seeing the play Peg of My Heart. The first major tragedy in her life came in April 1921, when her stepmother Loretta died of bacterial meningitis, aged 35, leaving behind 2 toddlers of her own. The second came in November 1922, when an automobile smashed into Peg's father in a hit-and-run crime on Park Avenue. The impact snapped his spine, but he died from a brain hemorrhage after lingering in hospital on December the 19th, aged 48. He was buried with Loretta 3 days before Christmas. Peg was just 14. She and the toddlers, Bobby and Milton, were taken under the care of Robert's brother Charles, a theatre manager, and his wife Jane. After a spell in a girls' boarding school in Los Angeles and some home tutoring, Peg finally landed the chance to pursue her dream of a stage career when, at 16, she joined the Boston Repertory Theatre Company. Her first credited role was as a maid, and she was playing 12 shows a week. Peg received good reviews for her performances in The Uninvited Guest and Alice Sit by the Fire. Bette Davis was quoted as saying she was inspired to act as a teenager after seeing Peg on stage in a Boston production of Henrik Ibsen's The Wild Duck. She turned to her mother and said, "I want to be exactly like Peg Entwistle." By 1926, Peg was recruited by the New York Theatre Guild. The following year, she married a fellow actor, Robert Keith. He was a 29-year-old recovering alcoholic, a man with a history of debts, arrests, and alleged abuse. The marriage was doomed. She terminated a pregnancy in their first year together, fearing it would disrupt her acting career. Keith began drinking heavily again, depleting the bank account of his new wife. Peg was mortified and shocked when a New York detective came up to them in a restaurant and threatened to arrest Keith for owing $1,000 in alimony to his first wife. Peg accused Keith of assaulting her in a hotel room, dragging her by the hair. She filed for divorce in 1929, claiming cruelty on his part and that he failed to tell her that he was previously married and already had a son. She was now struggling to hold on to her acting career. In May 1929, after a run in a play based on Sherlock Holmes, she told the Oakland Tribune that she was worried that she was cheating herself by taking on flimsy characters, expressing a wish that she could play roles that carry conviction. Peg realized the New York theatre community was effectively shutting her out due to her association with Robert Keith, who was fired and blacklisted by the Guild. At the end of 1929, depressed and anxious about what the future held, she relocated to Hollywood. By 1931, the Depression had hit hard, and plays closed almost as soon as they opened. She moved in with another uncle, Charles, hoping to pursue a film career instead. But with so many beauties flocking to town during Hollywood's golden age, all of them desperately seeking to be the next big sensation, Peg struggled to stand out and find roles. Bad luck or fate come into the equation at this point, because she gambled on making a successful film debut and reneged on a gentleman's agreement with influential producer Bella Blau to appear in a Broadway version of The Mad Hopes. Instead, she accepted a deal from RKO Radio Pictures to appear in a film adaptation of Tiffany Thayer's best-selling novel 13 Women, produced by David O. Selznick. Peg played a supporting part, playing the role of Hazel Clay Cousins in the thriller. Myrna Loy is the girl called Ursula, who uses mesmerizing powers to coerce her friends into murder or suicide. She does this by posing as an astrologist and sending predictions of doom to her former classmates, letting the power of suggestion handle the rest. Peg's tormented character Hazel is brainwashed into stabbing her husband. Unfortunately, concerns from censors over lesbian undertones meant the final film was cut to 59 minutes. The problem wasn't so much Peg's performance, but a perceived violation of a motion picture production code known as the Hays Code, which was aimed at keeping Hollywood content wholesome. Peg's screen time was dropped from 18 to just a few minutes. Variety dismissed the film as a butcher shop drama when it came out on the 16th of September 1932. By that time, RKO, suffering during the Depression, had told Peg they were releasing her from her contract, having passed her over for a part in an upcoming film, Bill of Divorcement, a role that went instead to Katharine Hepburn. The walls were closing in on the young actress. Her reputation in the world of New York theatre had been irrevocably damaged by her decision to renege on playing in The Mad Hopes, and she was running short of money. All her clothes and furniture had been repossessed in New York in lieu of rent owed on an apartment. She had no alternative but to live with her aunt and uncle on North Beechwood Drive. The news of her dismissal by RKO was printed in Los Angeles newspapers on September the 16th. 2 days later, on a Sunday night, Peg informed her uncle she was going out for a rendezvous to meet friends at a nearby drugstore. She had different plans. She headed for the famous Hollywoodland sign that had been erected in 1923 to promote local house sales. What were her thoughts during the arduous final journey up the canyon hill? This sign had once upon a time inspired her with the glamour it promised. She had watched as an excited teenager as the 13 white letters, 45 feet tall, were hauled up Beechwood Drive on their way to being erected. The 150-foot construction must have made a dazzling sight. At the time it was lit at night by 4,000 bulbs, and groups of letters flashed in sequence. Holly, then wood, then land, then all of them at once. Peg took off her shoes and neatly folded her coat, placing it on the ground with her purse. She climbed up the maintenance ladder on the back of the 50-foot high letter H, looked out over Hollywood, a place where she had once loved horseback riding in the hills with her younger brother Bobby, a place where her dreams were realized and then dashed. She gazed out over this landscape for the final time, then leapt off the edge. Her precise reasons for choosing the location are not known. Was it convenience, disappointment in what the sign symbolized for her, or perhaps a desire not to be forgotten? An anonymous female hiker reported the discovery of her shattered body. This hiker had looked down the mountain about 150 feet below, saw the body and called the police. Peg's uncle later identified her remains, and her cause of death was ruled a suicide. A note found in Peg's purse read, "I am afraid. I am a coward. I am sorry for everything. If I had done this a long time ago, it would have saved a lot of pain. Peg Entwistle." She was only 24 years old. Well, my dear friends, I've been meaning to cover this story for really quite a long time. I finally got around to doing it, and yeah, very sad, isn't it? Poor Peg. I mean, only 24. Where at my age now, I realize how young she was. And, I felt, I was in that dark spot. I felt suicidal at an even younger age than that. And when you're that age, your emotions are so intense. And when you're in that dark spot, you cannot see a future. She just thought, well, that's it. My life has ended. And it must have been very hard for her, being famous so young. And for that to sort of disappear in front of her eyes, her career must have been devastating for her, to suddenly be outcast, really, from Hollywood and have no money, living with your aunt and uncle. But there's no point saying if she had persevered and hung on, because she's gone now. But I really think she would have found a different path to walk down if she had stayed around, but she didn't. Goodness knows what her thoughts were as she climbed up that letter, and what her thoughts were sitting atop that letter. Did she stay up there long, or did she just go straight off? We'll never know, but she must have been in a very, very dark space. Poor pig. It wouldn't surprise me if her spirit was still lingering around. I hope not. I hope she's moved on and found a new path, but perhaps it's a residual haunting. Let's have a look at a few web pages I found regarding that subject. So I found a couple of web pages because, of course, inevitably there's going to be stories of the haunting that Peg would be, her restless spirit would be stuck in the place where she had her final moments. What does it say here? That Lana Del Rey also made a song featuring references to Peg Entwistle's suicide. It's also proved useful to the ghost tour industry, with organised visits to see the sites of numerous reported visions of phantom Pegs. When the letter H fell down in 1944, it was attributed to Entwistle's spirit rather than the more likely explanation of rotten wood and high winds. Numerous dog walkers and park rangers in the past half-century have reported supposed sightings of the apparition of a blonde woman dressed in 1930s clothing who was haunting the Hollywood sign. There have also been accounts of people smelling gardenias, which was said to be Entwistle's favourite fragrance. In 2014, on the anniversary of her suicide, more than 100 people gathered above the gateways to the Hollywood sign to eat popcorn and watch Entwistle in a special outdoor screening of 13 women. What else have we got? Since her death, hikers have reported mysterious occurrences surrounding the sign, with many believing that it is haunted by Peg's ghost. Jogger Megan Santos told Vanity Fair that she was once running by the sign when she saw an apparition, explaining, "There was this woman with blonde hair and she seemed to be like walking on air. I immediately ran the other way." Well, you would, wouldn't you, if she's floating on air? Something's not right. Meanwhile, another couple also claimed to see a young woman in old-fashioned clothes disappear in front of them, and park rangers around the area have claimed to have seen the ghost of the Hollywood sign. Oh, I'd love to get out there, my dear readers. When I do my trip to the US, I need a volunteer as a tour guide to take me out there. So what else do we have? Pretty much the same. This one's a bit of a different one. A young couple hiking in Griffith Park Trail stopped dead in their tracks when a disoriented blonde woman dressed in 1930s clothing vanished before their eyes. Apparently, the couple was completely unaware of Entwistle's suicide. Wasn't she a beautiful woman? So sad. So much promise, and she thought her life was coming to an end. Yeah, this is pretty much the same. The smell of gardenias. What do you think, my dear viewers? What do you think? Is she still haunting the area? Is it a residual haunting? Or what is that term they use? Residual haunting, and there's another term when the actual spirit knows of its surroundings and can recognize people and stuff. And a residual haunting is where it's just like a recording. I'd love to get out there, I would. That's going to be on my trip to the US. When I get out there, I'm going to be busy. I'm going to be busy. So what I want to know is which one of you paranormal buffs or just plain old ghost romantics is going to volunteer to head out there and stay overnight, or at least a few hours into the twilight, and see if you can feel Peg's presence or pick up any EVPs. Yes, and please report back to me with your findings. I'd be very interested to find out if you sense anything or see anything. Yes, first one to put their hands up and volunteer gets a gold star. Actually, if you head out there and you name it the Oddie Vigil, then I would actually promote your video on the community section of my YouTube channel. So call it the Oddie Vigil. Let me know when you've finished the session, your all-nighter beneath the sign. Are you allowed to go up there at night? I don't even know if you're allowed up there. Maybe they have park rangers forbidding that sort of stuff. Maybe there's official tours. I don't know. Let me know what's going on. Are you allowed to wander up there by yourselves nowadays, or is it cordoned off? I'm very interested. Well, I think that's about it for this episode. The next main presentation is also going to be another Hollywood tragedy. I won't tell you what it is, but I'm in the Hollywood mood at the moment. I love Hollywood, especially, well, I don't love Hollywood now, but Hollywood of the 1920s and 30s has long inspired me, so expect more of these tales in the future, but I'll mix it around so we get a bit of everything. Anyway, my friends, I'm going to sign off, wishing you all very well and hope you're in a happy mood, unlike Peg. Looking forward to summer. Are you going on holiday anywhere? Let me know where you're going, okay? Take care. We're staying in Switzerland this year. We're going to go away again, but we're staying in Switzerland. It's just not worth the hassle of quarantine and all that hullabaloo. All right. Take care, God bless, and catch you next time. Bye-bye.